Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the, gosh, I think it's the second annual ASWSU election debates for president and vice president candidates. My name is Katie Gilstar. I'm the student development coordinator. I'm also part of the elections committee. This is Alexa Mitchell. She's also part of the elections committee, and our third member, Bridget Green, is unable to attend because she's in class. But she's a student. Good for her. So thank you all so much for coming today. Before we get started, I just want to let you all know that we are recording this event so that we can post it different places for people who can't be here today. And then this gentleman right here in the gingham shirt is also Facebook living, is that over this event? So just so you know, we're not panning the camera around to the audience. It's really just focused on these four individuals who have all given their consent to be recorded, though we do want to let you know that if you ask a question, your voice may appear on the recording. If you do not want to be on the recording, perhaps do not ask a question or ask it through a friend who is comfortable. Does that make sense? Fabulous. Okay, so the basic structure, what today is going to look like. We have a microphone, and the reason we have that is so that you will be heard on the video. We just have one microphone, so if you are the one speaking, please hold it right about here, not here, not here, and that way the video will hear you, and please pass it to someone if they need to say something. Excellent. So basically, we have 5 questions that were submitted to you all 24 hours in advance. We will go in order questions 1 through 5, just as you receive them. You all have copies in front of you. And each ticket, so that's 2 of you together, will have a minute to respond. And then Alexa will raise her hand if you get to a minute. Please stop talking at that point. And then the other ticket will be able to do their response. And then we will go back to the first ticket that responded if you have a rebuttal, and then back to the second ticket if they have rebuttal, and then we will move on to the next question. Does that make sense? Fabulous. Please keep it civil. No attacks on other candidates. We've all seen what that looks like a few months ago. Let's not go back to that, please. And then just so you all know, I randomly drew names before this event started, and so the first question will go to Janae and Madelyn. And then for each question after that, we'll then go back and forth as to who answers it first. Does that sound okay? Great. Okay, so if we don't have any questions or anything else, we'll get going. Audience, please note that there will be time for audience questions once we get through question 5. We'll let you know when that time comes. Other than that, please don't shout out or do anything weird. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so Alexa, are you ready for timing? Great. So question 1 goes to Janae and Madelyn, and the question is, what are your goals if you were to be elected?
Hi, so one of our goals is to create a strong Cougar family. I went to undergrad down in Pullman as well for 4 years, and the liveliness down there was such a great experience that I want to make sure to bring that liveliness up here as well. Some of our students have didn't get the full 4-year experience at Pullman, and so we want to make sure they get that experience up here as well.
Yeah, and one of the things I had was, I asked my mom the other day what makes her a great nurse and a leader, and one of the things she said was being a good, is liking what you do. And I kind of thought about that for a while, and one of my goals and Janae's is to show each student that we care about this campus, and not only that, but show that we care about each individual student. We're not just here to get people to go to events and increase attendance. We would like to do that, but we just want to motivate and encourage students to be the best that they can be. And our whole core value is we rise by lifting others, and that's where we get our true satisfaction.
So if you want to pass to Alec and Johanna, and your minute will start now.
So after polling students campaigning this week, our main goal is to have the opinions of the students be expressed, and one of them was having more affordable food options and having more options for vending machines, because I know a lot of times there's limited amounts that they can choose from, and so with that we really want to work with Senate and with Barb, who runs Fresh Plate, to see if we can try and make popular items cheaper or also have food trucks come so students do get the opportunity to have more food options.
Another one of our goals is to work with staff and faculty to help develop an interprofessional class where students of all disciplines can come together, work on patient cases, as well as understand each other's role better and network.
Great. So rebuttal to Janae and Madelyn, if any. You don't have to have it. Okay. And then anything else?
Great.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so question number 2, we'll start with Alec and Johanna. What past experience makes you qualified candidates?
So during my undergrad, I was a social chair in risk management of my sorority, which meant that I had to understand the bylaws at both the WSU level and the national level of my sorority. And it also had me executing plans on a budget and collaborating with other groups on campus to have everyone's opinions met. And so with that, I think that really fits the description of what the vice president would do for ASWSU. And I was also a part of the bylaw revision committee, which is definitely a vital part of the job of the vice president. And I've also attended some Senate meetings, and I think that I'd be confident in my abilities to run the Senate effectively.
Well, as you know, I'm the current VP. I have attended multiple student government council meetings with the various ASWSUs across the state of Washington. I have chaired PSAT, where we meet with President Kurt Schultz on a monthly basis. I've worked with Carl on an almost daily basis, and I have stepped in for Carl when he was unable to.
And you have rebuttal.
Yeah.
Great.
So this year I worked with the Student Entertainment Board as a PR marketing coordinator, and I also was the PR director-elect for PPSO, which is an umbrella for Organizations for Pharmacy. Seb got me really excited because we got to plan events for the students and figure out what they want on campus, and it got me just really excited for being the president next year and like keep moving that forward and keep hearing what the students want on campus. I know how to like work with a budget and plan and like reach out to the students to see and try to get them to come to events.
As for me, I started out my first year, I just joined ASWSU committees, not really sure what I wanted to do. And then this year, I decided I wanted to be a senator, so that's what I'm currently doing, pharmacy. And one of the things I like is I just like working with all the senators in school, collaborating with them. I'm also involved in pharmacy ambassadors. I'm an executive ambassador, and I get to plan orientation. It's just fun welcoming new students.
Great. Rebuttal? Or continue.
So I'll just finish the last point of working with Carl for the past year, seeing what a great leader he was, and saying that I would not be the vice president I am today without having Carl be the president that he is. And that's it.
Great. And rebuttal from this group at all? Okay. Great.
Okay, so we'll go to question 3 now. So this is specifically for the vice presidential candidates. What is your vision for Senate next year? And we'll start with Madelyn.
So as I mentioned, I'm a current pharmacy senator, and to be honest, I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I didn't love what I do. I like learning from all the other students in the Senate, and it's kind of neat to get feedback from them and just see things from their perspective. One of the things I'd like to add that I was kind of thinking about the other day is a good understanding of other programs. As we were campaigning, I learned a lot about other programs that I didn't know. There's some combined classes with Easter and just kind of their process on how they got there. And I think that'd be really neat to include that in the Senate and encourage other students to promote their specific classes and just kind of the general understanding of everything. So that's kind of what I want to do, is just more team bonding and just bring a closer Senate.
Okay. And then on to Johanna.
So after going to a few Senate meetings, I actually asked Alec if he could go back and restart his position, what would he change? And with that, he said first semester, Senate has bi-weekly meetings written in the bylaws, but it is more efficient to have weekly meetings so that senators can get the point across of what the students want. And so it's easier for them to remember the points and opinions of the students. And also for our student organizations to come back after Senate, after receiving money from the budget to show how the events went and how much of the money they actually used, how well the attendance was, and so we can get an idea of how well their events did affect the student community.
And then rebuttal at all, Madelyn? Johanna?
Okay, so now on to question 4. What is the need you see on campus and how do you plan to fix it? So, I think Alec,
Yeah. So the need we see on campus is interprofessionalism, and that's going back to the initial question of goals. So that's just providing students with the opportunity to learn from each other. I would like to help develop the class with faculty and staff to create areas where students can come together and discuss patient cases, really learn from each other better, understand each other's roles, and come together in an interprofessional way.
And then something that I think should be improved is more active polling on campus. And so I think it'd be very, very beneficial if we had students ask questions while they're in SAC, having lunch, or if senators could go into classes and getting more of an idea, because not everyone uses social media. And I mean, you may see a post, but you're not always going to respond. So if we could get a physical, active representation of what the students would want, it'd be a better representation of the student needs.
So one thing that we want to work on is like communication with the smaller colleges and reaching out to our branch campuses like Yakima. We think it's important to be physically present. We get emails all the time, and lots of people don't know exactly what's going on campus sometimes, but attending those club meetings and being at the building and saying hi and networking outside of our academics to know what's going on campus, I think is really important.
And one of the main things is we understand that a lot of events are very heavily populated with pharmacy students, and we love our pharmacy students, but we think it's important to work on scheduling events a little bit better around other programs, because you can learn so much from other programs, and I think it's important that we really push for that. Just being in the Senate, just hearing all the things that other programs do would be cool, like, oh, maybe we can get involved in that, and just kind of bringing everyone together on that.
Rebuttal at all?
Okay, so on to question 5, and as a reminder to the audience, after this, you will be able to ask questions, so start thinking. Okay, question 5, and I believe Janae and Madelyn will be the first to answer. Why are you the best candidate or candidates for the job?
So I'm going to be honest, I can't say that we're better than anyone else. All 4 of us have experience, and I think that's really important. We both have a lot to offer. One of the things I think that I can say is Janae and I, we have bubbly personalities, always laughing, and we can just bring a very lively energy to campus, and that's kind of what we want to drive our efforts towards.
And we want to be the voice for you guys on campus to keep this Cougar family strong. And we promise that you'll be getting humble, trustworthy, kind leaders on campus that you can count on and come to at any time. Great.
So for Alec and I think we'd be great candidates because we already have potential solutions to a lot of the current problems expressed to us on campus. And I think that our personalities balance each other very well so that we can be open-minded and considerable and excellent listeners. And that's definitely something you need in a leader, is to hear the voices and opinions of the students on campus.
And I believe that together that we can help empower Cougs and really make you successful in everything that you want to do and want to achieve. I believe that we are some of the most knowledgeable, prepared, and experienced individuals, and through current and past leadership endeavors that we have really demonstrated that.
Rebuttal? Okay.
Okay, so now we'll move on to our audience Q&A time. So what we'll do is, if you have a question, please raise your hand, say it out loud, and then I'll go ahead and repeat it in the microphone, and then we'll go the similar back and forth style. So, who has a question for the candidates? Okay, Ty, go ahead.
So student activity fees pay for the extracurricular activities we have on campus. what do you think of the current level of resources and programming we have on campus, and what direction do you think SNA fees should go?
So basically, Ty said there are student fees on campus that everyone pays, service and activities fees. What do you think is going well right now with how those fees are used, and then how could they be used differently?
And then also like what direction,
And what direction do you think programming should be taken with those fees? So I think we just go back to Alec and Johanna.
Cool. So currently, I love the way that SNA fees are divvied up to the RSOs that attend SNA budget requests, and when they come to Senate and they meet with us at Senate, they ask for funding as well, and I love that we can give a face to the students. You're asking what's well and where I want to go, where we want to go.
yeah,
with
like
it.
do you think they should be higher to provide more programming, maybe less? Do we have enough programming? Kind of just what your thoughts are.
I think a small increase might be beneficial to campus in terms of providing printing for students and helping to develop the gym that we're currently trying to work on with the incoming medical students and the students in Yakima that are also going to be incoming for their first year as well, so they'll have free classes there now. I believe that increase in SNA fees in students paying SNA fees might actually be enough to offset any increase that might need to happen.
Yeah, so one of the things I think, like I do always think there can be money to go towards students, that's always important, but I think just letting students know in clubs that they can request money. I know there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I didn't even know our club could do that, so I think that's a thing. If we do increase it, it's because more people are aware of it and they know we have access, because I know we still have a decent amount of money in our budget, and I think just by letting clubs know, like, oh, you can bring a guest speaker, if you need money, we can help you with that, and I think that's a big thing. It's just awareness of this is what our money goes to. If you need help, come to us and we can work with you, kind of thing.
Rebuttal at all? Okay. Okay.
Next question. Oh, okay, I think I saw you first.
I was gonna ask, do any of you have any positions or time commitments or things that might take away from being VP or president? Because those are full positions that require a lot.
Great question. So the question was, do any of you have any other time commitments or prior things going on in your schedules next year that might take away or make it hard to do these full-time positions? Well, full-time being 20 hours a week.
So next year I will be the PPSO director of public relations next year. But this year with working in SEB and with like ASWSU in general, I was very capable of doing like time management with all that stuff. It does not take that much time. I fully know that I will be able to put all my effort towards that.
Yeah, and one of the things I did mention, I get a plan orientation for the incoming pharmacy class. Lucky for me, that's mainly over summer. So that's also a neat thing, is I get to meet more students and let them know more about ASWSU while I'm planning pharmacy orientation. So it's just kind of nice that I have that time to get to know students, but it's not necessarily taking up any of my time during the school year.
I do not have any other time commitments that would interfere with being president. I am a member in NCPA and ASWSU, but being vice president this year always came first, and being president always came first.
So I'm a member of all the PPSO organizations, and I am a current pharmacy ambassador, but with those you can be as involved as you want, and the great thing is you sign up for the events, and so if I knew that I had a time commitment with vice president, I would know when and when not to be committed to those organizations.
Rebuttals at all? No? Okay. Great. Next. Oh, sure.
Sorry, just a side note. Janae and I really care about ASWSU, and we wouldn't be here if we didn't. And one of the things I've learned is you make time for the things you care about, and we truly do care about the students in this campus, and that's why we're here.
Okay, next question. If I saw, wait, did you have one? Okay, go ahead.
If not elected president or VP, how do you plan to stay involved?
So if not elected president and VP, how do you plan to stay involved?
So one of the other ways I plan on staying involved is just passing down some of the information that I have from being vice president to whoever wins, whether that be Johanna and I or Janae and Madelyn. I also plan to, if we do not become elected, to get more involved in campus sign and maybe go for vice chair or something like that.
And then for me, if we do not get elected, I would definitely want to apply for the other ASWSU executive board positions, since those applications are due after elections. And so I do still want, I really would like to be involved in ASWSU, but maybe something on a lower level.
And I definitely also plan to be involved if not elected as well. Same kind of with Johanna, those applications after grades, like the CU executive or the SEB, like I plan to be active because I really do care about you guys and I want to be present with you guys.
And like we mentioned earlier, we want to be here for the students and motivating people. And I'm sure a few of you know about Ambassadors. We have a mentoring program, and that's something that we're still trying to make a little bigger. And that's something I would like to put a little bit more time to, because I love welcoming new students and letting them know that they do have that option, and that's something that I would like to get more involved with.
Rebuttals from either side? Okay.
Next question. Yes.
Ever since I've started here at the school, the one thing that they push the most is the interprofessional communication. What are possible avenues you see of opening more doors towards the interprofessional communication?
So what are more avenues you see to open the doors for interprofessional communication on campus?
So one of the things, so if elected in the VP position, I would be actively involved in the Senate, which is one thing that I like, but also I think it'd be neat for, to go out with the senators and just, when they go to get constituency things, be with them, just be present. And I think by us getting to know students, it's more of a different voice to hear, and I just think that by being involved and just physically going out is what Janae and I want to do, to show people that we want them to be involved and be there.
And it's kind of like what I was talking about on one of the questions, 5 questions of just being physically present and being where the students are and making sure they're aware of what's going on.
So, as mentioned before in 2 of the questions, I talked about interprofessionalism, and one of my big goals is to work with faculty and staff to develop a class. And if that is not possible for whatever reason, then I would like to develop events weekly where students can get together and network, work on patient cases together, really understand each other's role better.
So I know they're currently starting events and programs like that now, but they're not well advertised. So for me, I would really want to work with the senators so that we can get that information out to each program. Because I know a lot of times they will have events, but it'll be mainly nursing going or mainly pharmacy going. So I really want to push the senators to get their programs involved.
Rebuttals from either side? Okay. Next question, if any?
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, since I've been here, a few random electives have popped up, and there's limited sitting, so a student that might want to get into that elective might not be able to, so that pretty much, in my opinion, limits their education. So, how could you guys work on that, so when something new, or new class, or whatever, like you're talking about interpretation, everyone that wants is able to take it, instead of just being, okay, you got 20 people, first 20 people to take even if they don't want to.
So to paraphrase, it seems like a lot of the opportunities currently on campus can only include a certain number of students, but how will you create opportunities that can include really as many who want to be involved as possible? Right. Sorry.
I think by creating more events will allow opportunity for more students to go out and experience the types of things they would like to experience. I also think that giving more RSO funds to registered student, or SNA funds to RSOs, that they would be able to create events as well and thus reach more students and even collaborate with other RSOs, I think would be really beneficial in ensuring that not just a certain sect of the colleges are just attending that one specific event. For example, pharmacy just attends all the time, making sure that nursing and other people are involved in that as well.
And so I know with a RSO called IHI, they're having an event and they're capping it at certain students. And so I think maybe trying to find a way to see what students go to events, and maybe you do a rotation so everyone does get an opportunity. And I think also, was your question more class-based? Yeah. So with that, it's kind of difficult just because classes are based on the colleges. I don't think there's a lot we personally do, but I think we want to stress that even if you can't get into a class, a lot of the class will be based on outside events, and so you can definitely get involved in those events.
And it's also, we can like talk to like faculty or advisors about the classes, if it is a popular class, and see if it is possible to make that class bigger. Or if it's a popular class, maybe having multiple times for that class to happen.
Yeah, so sorry if I butchered this, but one of the things that I think from like a little kid standpoint, you go to the park, you make a friend, it's like, I want to go back and play with them. It's kind of like exposure to clubs and events and be like, wow, I had fun working with the net students, like, and then you bring them to your professors, can we do that again? Like, we've done things with nursing students, and it was a good experience. We learned a lot from them, and I think just by getting students motivated and then being like, telling the professors, like, that was a lot of fun and I did learn a lot, like, can we bring that more? And I think if we can get the student body to advocate for that more, that's where we're going to start seeing changes from our perspective. Just 2 and 2, it might be hard, but we can just give that exposure to students to work with other students through clubs and events, and I think that's how we could get that result.
Rebuttals?
It's more of a question. Have you ever experienced that on campus, Franklin, where you went to like go to a class, you weren't really wanted the class and it was capped?
It was like some, like, this type of event. I wanted to sign up for that, but it was capped like at 25 people.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I clicked sign up on my computer, it was full already.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I was really looking forward to, and I couldn't attend to it. So, and I know.
Yeah, each side gets rebuttal.
Okay, sorry, I just keep getting ideas in my head. So the other thing was, I think that what I was going off of is if we show that interest, and I think if we show our growth by working with other students, because that's how we're going to learn. On your 4th year, you learn a lot of things from working with other professionals. And another thing that I thought was neat, at another university, they do interprofessional hours, but they have to get a certain amount of shadowing another profession, which I think is really neat, and I think a lot of us could benefit from just by going and seeing other professions and how they work.
Okay, next question.
This is more pertinent to each of the videos you guys made. For Alec and Johanna, you guys mentioned in your video that you guys wanted students to be more mindful and to make use of the resources available to them on campus. What do you guys feel is the most underutilized resource on campus for students that they can actually use?
So specifically to Alec and Johanna first, what do you feel like is the most underutilized resource by students and how can they underuse it?
Yeah. I think one of the most underutilized sources on campus from a BP standpoint is clubs don't always know that they can come to us and request funding if they have an event that they want to do but they don't have the funding. Also, going off of that, starting up a new RSO, a lot of them don't really know where to begin, and that we actually have a budget to provide them with money for funding.
And then with that, I know personally as a first year, you come in kind of blind and you're not really sure of where to go to. But if you actually go into the ASWSU office, there's a board that has all the information of all of the different programs, what's going on, and I think that would really help. So if you are interested in something, and you also have like your president and your vice president, they're open to ask questions because they're very knowledgeable. And I think if you really need help with something, they can guide you in the appropriate direction of where to get your answers.
Mark, did you have a separate one for the Janae?
And so for Madelyn and Janae, you guys discussed about unity as something you guys like to instill on campus. What do you guys plan on doing from an outside perspective, looking in on the unity on campus? If someone who doesn't go here, but you guys want to indicate that to them.
So can you rephrase this question? This doesn't count as your time.
Okay, so you're saying unity as in with like the community or someone interested in coming
So you want to express unity within our campus. So if
Yes.
someone was looking on the outside and, you know, just someone from the community here, how would you kind of indicate that to them as a united campus, I guess?
So showing how we are a united
Mhm,
campus. Do you wanna start? Okay, so one of the things I think that is mainly that just the interprofessional thing is obviously a big thing, but I think just knowing that they have a support system here. Like Janae and I are huge on the Cougs family, and I think that's something that I would like other people in the community to see is we are a strong campus, we work together, and I think by creating events and just getting people to know each other is where it's gonna start. We can't build up a campus from outside, that's where we need to start with each individual person and make those relationships to build it up.
Also with the new medical students coming in next year, we want to make sure that they feel welcome in here, that they are part of this campus. Like, we want to make sure that they know that they can come to all our events and like, because it is an interprofessional school. We're all here to work together, and just advocating that for the students and being, again, physically present and making sure that students are aware of what's going on and making sure students are coming out, and if they're not, like, reaching out to them and like, hey, like, what's stopping you from coming, and like actually ask them questions and like what we can do better to make it so that we all are together and stop.
Rebuttals from either side?
Thanks.
Wait, yes.
I know there are barriers between the different schools, EWU, WSU, UW, their PA program and their medical school. So how do you want to bridge that gap so we can collaborate with the other universities that are here?
So how do you want to bridge the gap between other universities that are represented on this campus? So that would include Eastern Washington University as well as UW with their MEDEX PA program.
Is it us?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's you guys.
Okay.
So when tabling, that was one of, we had actually a lot of Eastern students even come to our tables too, and because they're with speech and hearing, like WSU and EWU. And one thing there was they want to collaborate with us and have events with us because they are also part of the school and like can provide a lot of feedback interprofessionally, and I think making more events where we actually combine the two together would be really beneficial because it's good to have a bunch of different perspectives, and they're just part of this campus as much as we are, so we want to make sure they have a say in some things too.
It's funny you asked that because I was thinking the same thing. So one of the things is with our student fees, they have to go to our students. So I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe we could ask Eastern if we'd be able to maybe use some of their money if we get their students to come. It's kind of a hard subject to use our student fees to other students. So that's one of the things I was thinking of, just having the same benefits but having their student government funded too.
So one way that we're collaborating with all the universities in the state of Washington, EWU, Gonzaga, UW, is through the health fair that is actually going to be put on in April. We have already been meeting with them as well as the mayor of Spokane to really get this out there, and it's called Spokane Gives. So it's a month-long or week-long, month-long situation, and it's just us giving back to the community, and really specifically, it's the universities that you were actually asked about giving back to the community and working together.
So I actually did a student panel with various health programs in Spokane, from the community colleges to EWU to Gonzaga, and with that, they said that for interprofessionalism, the biggest key is being open. And so if you're open and friendly, people will want to work with you. And I think if we just stress the way that you hold yourself, that will definitely help people in working together as a team.
Rebuttals from either side? No? Okay. Next question?
You have a question, Carl? I do have a question. Oh, sorry. Those on live stream, it's Carl, current president. So let's say you're sitting here taking the video next year as president and vice president. How will you judge your success? Like, how will you know that you've been successful in the year that you spent in office?
Okay, so assuming you elected president, vice president, and you are here this time next year, how will you judge your success in those positions?
Yeah. I would judge our success by the goals that we promised to students and the achievements that we've actually had. Going back to when Carl and I actually ran, I feel that we have had small achievements along the way, that we have accomplished some of these goals, and that we have continued to fight for students in certain ways, such as the development of a gym on campus. Like, we are currently trying to do that, and I think that that's a small win. They've already done testing, and I think that's one way, just really measuring your success, reflecting on what you've done and what you've achieved.
And then for me as VP, I think that in a year from now, if I'm sitting in Alec's spot wanting to be president, I know that I've enjoyed working with students in ASWSU, and with that I could see my success. And I think it would be, I know that if I sat here and I talked about how the things that I want to improve on a positive note and not a negative note, that would definitely show my success in the position that I held.
So we're involved to make a difference, and if I know that I made a difference on this campus and that I helped out students and even potentially help them wanting to become leaders in the future, I think that shows a lot of success. Like, we're motivators and encouragers. Like, we should encourage others to go after what they want, and if they believe that they can do it, like, having that and that you were a part of that, I think that's would give a lot of like satisfaction to me, knowing that I helped someone else.
Yeah, kind of going along with that is Janae and I have set goals. There's things we want to do, and those can't bring happiness. But at the end of the day, if we can see we've made a difference, the students are happy, then that's really all we really want on this campus. Just know that we made a difference in someone's life, regardless if we reached the goal. That's what we're here to do.
Rebuttal, Madam Sir? No? Okay. Questions? Any other questions?
I do have another
Okay,
question.
go ahead.
So, you've all heard this, and this is one of the things that ASWSU, as a group of student leaders, has discussed as part of our training at the beginning of the year, is to treat others the way that they want to be treated, exemplified by the Platinum Rule, which we put in our office, is signified as a mirror, to look and see in the mirror what, look to see yourself and then see like how do I want to treat other people. Can you give an example of something that's happened to you this year where you've exemplified that, and maybe how that can translate into how you can treat students next year?
So can you give an example of a time this year when you have treated others the way that they would like to be treated rather than the classic, the way you want to be treated? And what was the second one? Sorry.
No, that's about it.
Oh, okay, great. And then,
Yeah.
Well, by you.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, as you can tell, I really like the ambassador program too, and I love welcoming people, and I think that's the thing I got on this campus, and I had a great mentor, and I think just having those people around to support you and being able to give that back to someone is something that I would like to do, and I think that's how we're gonna grow as a campus. And someone treated me like I was family before they really knew me, and that meant a lot to me because I'm really close to my family, and having that positivity and that those people surrounding me is really what motivates me to want to do that same thing to someone else.
And for me, it's like really hard to just pinpoint that one moment because I try to live my life by treating others how they want to be treated. I have so much like happiness in just making someone have a smile on their face. And was said like when we go out and like advertise and like going out and trying to get people involved and making sure everyone is reached out to, I think is really important. And I just kind of live my day-to-day life by that. And I just always like keep positive and like keep moving forward and keep motivated and just want to treat everyone.
I think a specific example of treating others the way they want to be treated is hard to pinpoint. I can kind of think of a situation where I had a senator come to me saying, hey, you know, I'm really not feeling well, like I don't think I can come to the next Senate meeting. I mean, we've all been in that situation and just understood what they were going through. So I think that's a specific example.
So, I think for me, I definitely have a very big family background, just like Madelyn does. I mean, we discuss this all the time, but when I am in a difficult situation, I try and think, what would my grandma feel how I would react? And I know that's like outrageous, but my grandma's like one of my role models, and I think if she saw me act in a negative way, that would definitely put it, I would want to act in a way that she would feel proud of me. And so I think that is definitely how I try to handle every situation. I might not see eye to eye with someone, but you definitely need to be civil. And I think just putting yourself in a position where you would see someone you look up to, be proud of you, that's how I want to handle every situation I'm placed in.
Rebuttals, other side? Nope, okay. Any other questions before we allow the candidates to do their final statements?
Okay, so we'll move on to the final portion, and we'll allow the candidates to, each ticket has a minute to do final statements, and there won't be any rebuttal or anything after that. And yeah, thank you all so much for coming. You're welcome to leave and grab food and sign in if you haven't. And yeah, so we'll be finished after we finish the final remarks. So who went?
I think it would be us.
Great, okay. Yes?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
pretty
great.
sure
Yeah, no,
because
that's
we did
great. I-
1,
yeah,
2,
terrible memory.
3, 4, 5, 6.
It's all good.
Yeah, okay. So I just really want to thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you for taking part of your lunchtime to sit here and ask really tough questions and listen to what we have to say. Being your vice president for the past year has given me amazing opportunities and just really allowed me to see and meet amazing student leaders and really see you develop as students as well. And through this position, I just want to say thank you, and that I believe that we can empower students together, and as president and vice president, that we would be some of the best candidates for the job.
And so while this may be my first year, I have been a Coug for the past 5 years, and I really want to bring my experiences from Pullman here to Spokane. And so with that, we definitely want to empower students to be as successful as they can. And I just want people to know that we're definitely here to let them leave WSU Spokane as the best prepared and confident leaders as they can into their professions.
Yeah, thank you. Go Cougs.
Yeah, so as you seen through our campaign, we've had all the little sticky notes on our posters, and we really want you guys to stick with us for your next president and vice president, because we promise that we're going to stick with you. We strive to be the leader that you guys want on campus, and what you want to see on campus. Like, we have that listening ear for you guys, and we really want that lively, strong Cougar family. And I just love you all. Like, I love all the students on campus, and that's why I'm doing this. Like, I care so much about you guys.
And like I mentioned earlier, we're all pharmacy, so we've got a lot of the same friends. And obviously, we want your vote, and they want your vote too. And the thing that Janae and I have talked about is we just want people to get involved, regardless of who you guys vote for. If we can see those numbers go up by people participating and voting, that's really a win for us too.
Well, let's give our candidates a round of applause. It's not easy to get up here. So if you all want to talk to the candidates after the fact, I'm sure they have a few minutes to stick around, but the formal agenda is over, so you're welcome to leave, and please sign in if you did not on your way in. Thank you so much.